What's going on, Omies Peski here. Um, Oddly enough, my recording wasn't working when I played this game, and ended up being a pretty good game to talk over, so I wanted to try again. So we're going to be recording after the fact. Bear with me as I try to remember all the moves I made and what I was thinking. Um, but this will also give me the opportunity to have um, hindsight, which is definitely nice to hear from. So let's try this, okay? Let's give this a whirl. All right. So this game, like I said, I was trying to record, so I apologize starting off at level 4. I'm trying to showcase a way of playing flexibly in this game, rather than trying to force a comp. So most people in whatever elo they're in, they'll be on Google seeing what's the strongest comp and just trying to build off of that. You know, some games that does work out. Some games you can just force a comp and you're good to go. But in this meta, there's a lot of comps that are not quite forceable. Like the Duelist comp requires a chosen Yasuo, Kale requires 3 bows, Olaf requires lots of swords, 3 swords to be exact. There's a lot of variables in forcing these comps. So I'm going to show you how I play, and this is a flexible version. So at this point in time, I'm just making my strongest board, and I happen to get a chosen Nidalee, which doesn't really work perfectly with what I've got going on here, but she's okay to sit on for now. And I'm also looking at my items. I've got a Needless, I've got a Giant's Belt, I've got a Crick Glove, so I've got the opportunity to make a Jeweled Gauntlet or a Morellonomicon. So I'm thinking, okay, Jeweled Gauntlet, not super forceable, but we can use that on a Nico comp. We can use that on as a second or third item on Kennen. But I see the Morello, so I'm automatically thinking Siphoners. I'm thinking Siphoners or Keepers. So right now, I have this Vladimir, and I have a Vladimir on the board, so Siphoners definitely seems like a good call. However, the best Siphoner Morgana is a 4 cost, as you know, so it'll be a little while before I can decide to slam that item. I don't want to slam a Morello now because those items could be useful in a lot of other comps as well. So I'm not slamming anything yet, no pressure. I do hit pretty hard this game. I end up getting a lot of units that most people wouldn't get this early. I high rolled quite a bit, so I'm sorry that that happens. Because I personally, it frustrates me when I see people just high rolling all game and then they make a video off of it and they're like, look how good I am. This game, yes, I am good at TFT, but that's not the reason why I am bringing this up. I'm bringing it up because I hit some early Morganas and an early Talon, and most people don't hit those units quite so early. So, unfortunately, that does sway this game a little bit. So here I picked up a tier because I had a Crick Glove, and I was thinking, all right, Hodge is a pretty slammable item. I'll have 4 components when I have the tier, so I want to slam something. And Hodge is good in Olaf, it's good with Shyvana, it's good with Talon. Talon works with Siphoners, so that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, alright, I'll slam a Hodge. And here comes the first hit with the early Morgana. So, as soon as I pick her up, I slam a Morello, because this pretty much decides what I want to do here. And I'm thinking I could either go 4 Siphoners, or I could go a Talon comp. So both those comps are kind of in the back of my head while I'm going through this early game. Still playing my strongest board. I believe I pick up this Jarvan. I could be wrong, but I believe I do buy it because I'm thinking that Keeper, and I have a Warlord Nidalee, so that'll give me Keeper Warlord. I do buy it. So I'm trying to plan ahead, right? I'm not just sitting here and thinking, okay, I'm level 5. I have so much time before I'm level 6. Let's just save gold. Nope, you want to be planning ahead. Some of the best chess players in the world, like Magnus Carlsen, they're planning like 6 or 7 moves ahead, and that's what you have to be doing here. It's the same concept. I know everyone gives me a hard time. TFT is not as hard as chess. You're right, but there are some similarities, I guess. Alright. So, like I said, just making my strongest board. I have an Elise. I want to make pairs. You always want to make pairs. Pairs are strong in the early game. I also said, when I recorded this incorrectly, I was talking about how making pairs and playing your strongest board early and trying to win streak is almost always the right answer, rather than trying to lose streak and gain carousel priority. If I had started out with a bow, a needless, and a crit glove, I would think, okay, those are Kale items. Kale is a really good comp right now, and loose streaking can be viable if you have a lot of components to pull off one of those comps. Same goes for Olaf. Loose streaking can be a decent strategy because those two comps are so item dependent that as soon as, and there's my second early Morgana, I know, high rolling, I'm sorry. Those comps are so dependent on items and getting 2 stars and getting certain units so that you can get certain synergies, that loose streaking tends to be the better call, because then you get a earlier priority on carousel. You get to pick first, and you get to make sure that you get those bows, those BF swords, those items that you wouldn't be able to play the comp without. So there's a trade-off. Everyone has their own play style, but for me, I like to win streak. I like to preserve HP, because I feel like those are the games where I typically place a strong top 4. So here I'm just going to make Econ. Keep worrying about Econ. I'm on a 4 win streak, so I push level here. And I reposition, because now I have keepers. I want to get that shield to everybody. Alright, so now this would be a good time to talk about aggressive leveling. And I have spoken on aggressive leveling in my last 2 videos, and I touched on it pretty significantly. It's one of the... sorry, I'm at a loss of words here. It's one of the styles that I think you should definitely pick up for this set, specifically. This set works really well with aggressive leveling because streaking can be very important. And you always want to keep your streak, right? Also want to pay attention if you're playing reroll comps that you don't push level too hard and then end up losing the percent chance right here of rolling those units you need. I don't play reroll. I might do a reroll video just so that you guys have that knowledge. Picking up some units here. I decided to put in Aatrox instead of TF because TF doesn't serve any synergy purpose, neither does Aatrox, but Aatrox is a strong unit. There's my early Talon. So I switch in Aatrox here and then move him to the front line. Still playing my strongest board. And I actually have a pretty decent mistake that I make this game, and I want to point it out because these are the types of mistakes that can lose you an entire game. And fortunately enough for me, I was not punished for this mistake, so I ended up pulling out of it without any scratches. I'll show you as soon as that pops up. And the mistake is around aggressive leveling. So that's why I brought that up earlier. And I decided to move all my units to the front because I remembered the Nidalee nerfs. If the units are too close to Nidalee, she does significantly less damage. So I want the units to get stuck out here, where Nidalee can hit more max range spears and do more damage. She's not really my carry. Morgana's my carry, but we do want to try to increase the amount of damage that Nidalee does. And here you can see I'm gesturing with my mouse in game. I'm talking about why I moved my Morgana to the right side. If I move her to the left here, then she's tanking aggro from the whole left side of the map. Now, she's a good frontline unit because she does have good armor and magic resist and health, but we do not want her to be tanking aggro that severely. So yeah, I point out the armor and magic resist. She's got 60 armor, 60 magic resist, so we play her towards the front of the map always. But we don't want her to tank the most aggro. So that's important. Just trying to make econ here. Hit 40 econ. Alright, so this carousel, just trying to look for items that will be good for the Talon comp. I have a Giant's Belt. I don't want to make a Sunfire Cape. I don't want to make another Morello because that would be redundant. The Morello is a better version of Sunfire Cape, so we don't want to double up on that. There's no point. So I should have grabbed the Needless that was on Teemo, but I ended up opting for the Darius because he's a 3-cost unit, and I wanted the gold. So that was one mistake. We get a pair. And we have 2 Giant's Belts here. I'll gesture to that with my clicker in a second here, I'm sure. 2 Giant's Belts. You don't want to slam a Warmonks, people. Alright? Yeah. So you don't want to slam a Warmonks. That's not something that you ever really want to do. If you have nothing better to slam, then sure. If you've got Giant's Belts coming out your ears, you got 3 Giant's Belts, 4 Giant's Belts, sure. You know what? Slam a Warmonks, because that item can be good on frontline units. It's not a total waste. I'd rather you slam a Warmonks than just leave 2 Giant's Belts sitting on your bench once we hit round 5. So here, pretty basic. Just leveling the way we should, and I think our mistake is coming up pretty soon here. I don't have any Kale items. It's a good unit, but I don't have any Kale items. So here, I believe, is where I make my mistake. I'm on an 8-win streak, okay? And most people here, they're going to be going to level 7 because they're going to try to prevent themselves from bleeding out. That's not necessarily the right choice, but it's the elo we're in. So I decide to stay level 6, and that's actually a massive mistake. If I had gone 7 here and put in either Janna or Talon, I could get Enlightened with Morgana, and I would have an extra unit. See, he's level 7, I'm recognizing my mistake now. I'm like, okay, you know what, if I lose this, then I deserve to lose this, because I decided not to pay attention. This is something that you should feel organically, though. I've played this game enough to the point where I knew that staying level 6 was a risk, but I wanted to preserve econ, which was very greedy. So I decided to go 7 after Wolves, I believe, which is lucky that I did not lose there. If I lost there, that could have been the difference between 1st and 4th. So now I have Enlightened here. At this point, I'm recognizing I'm 94 HP. That guy's 28 HP. And if I was 28 HP, I'd be rolling on 7. You know? I would be spending my gold. And he is spending his gold. He has nothing there. So, it's hard for people to tell you when you should and shouldn't roll because they don't know the state of your game. They don't know that you're 94 HP and on a 9-game win streak, so why would you roll on 7? You wouldn't. Here I'm noticing I have 3 Giant's Belts, but I did manage to get an Infinity Edge, which is great for Talon. I do decide to slam a Warmonks because there is no need for 3 Giant's Belts, especially at 4-1. On Raptors, I'm hoping that I don't get Giant's Belt components. I'm hoping that I get Talon components. I want a Guardian Angel that's best in slot on Talon. I believe I end up getting a Runin's Hurricane, which is not awful, but it's not great either. This guy's looking to play the same comp I'm playing. He's forcing. He slammed a Morello when he doesn't have the Morgana. That's a mistake. So this is an example of forcing a comp. See, it doesn't pay off for him. He's low HP. He's level 7 and not rolling. So this is a mistake for him. We're playing pretty well though. We still got our win streak going here. So we know that since the last 3 or 4 rounds, we've decided to just push level and we haven't really picked up any units. We're kind of realizing that this is the point where we're going to start getting weaker. Most people are bleeding out and they're trying to save face. So the last 5 people in the lobby, from the guy named Azarus down, these people are starting to bleed out. So they're concerned, so they're spending their gold. So this is the point of the game where I know I might start taking losses. So here it could have been a good idea to go 8. I believe I do lose this. I could be wrong. But if I lose this, then yep, I do lose this. So this is an example of a pretty solid mistake. Here would have been a good opportunity to go 8 and put in my pike. I don't think it would have saved me. I don't think it would have saved me in that circumstance, but for the most part, it's probably a good idea. If you're win streaking this hard, forfeiting a little bit of econ to keep your win streak going, that's what you want. Because win streaking is definitely earning you a lot of residual income. So I'm just kind of scouting around, see if anyone's playing Morgana. I believe there's 2 people playing, or trying to play Morgana. One of them has no Morgana, but has a Morello and is playing Enlightened. And the other one has a Morgana, but is not playing with a Morello, so they both end up losing pretty hard. So we're getting weaker. We were destroying before, but we're definitely getting weaker, and that's the result of us playing for the late game. So by pushing levels, you're naturally going to be a little weaker than everyone else. They're all spending their gold, they're rolling, they're trying to find units to make their board stronger, they're pushing levels. Everyone's level 7, so no one's pushing levels, but these people are definitely rolling if they're smart. If they're below 50 HP at this point in the game, they're trying to roll and make a stronger board and get on a win streak. You don't want to be level 7 at the end of the game. It's very rare that you will place a top 4 as level 7. I grab a chain vest here because I know raptors are coming up, and I'm thinking that a guardian angel would be great since I only naturaled 1 BF sword to make that infinity edge. I still have 2 BF swords that are possible for me to natural. I get a Swain, another high roll, and I believe I go 8 here. Yep. So now I have Siphoner. I swap out the Vlad so that I can get Assassin with the Talon. And now I'm starting to think, okay, I've got some items that I'm slamming here. I'm level 8, so this would be a good time to sell your Chosen and roll if you're at like 60 HP. So if I'm at 60 HP, I would sell my Nidalee here and I would start rolling. But I'm at 80 HP, still 50 econ, not bleeding out too hard. So even if I lose 3 or 4 rounds in a row at this point, I'd still comfortably make it to level 9. So that's kind of my plan for this game. I decided to go level 9, increase my odds of hitting those Swains and those Morganas. I apologize about the lag. The internet's been very spotty where we're at right now. Alright, so we wanted to soft roll a little bit because we know that we're going to be getting pretty weak here. And I think soft rolling may have been a mistake. We don't really hit any significant units. We don't even need the Aatrox. I do pick up this Irelia because she's going to give us the Enlightened bonus for Enlightened, and she has Adept as well. So that opens up the door for an Adept Chosen rather than just a Talon Chosen. Trying to play flexible. So our board's strong, but it's still not as strong as most people right now. Most people are rolling a little bit. This guy's level 7 with 50 gold. I'm level 8 with 50 gold. So I'm playing for the late game, and he's playing the early game. So I do get an early Ornn here. I'm at 78 HP, so Ornn will definitely get me items before I bleed out too bad. So I decided to pick up the Ornn and switch him in for a different unit. I believe I decided to sell my Nidalee. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive I sell my Nidalee here. Did not end up getting my BF sword from my Guardian Angel. So I decided to go with the call here. I do sell my Nidalee. I want to play for the Vanguard bonus with Aatrox, and I want to get those items on Talon. So I make a Hurricane on Talon because that's the best opportunity I have here. Here I should have slammed a Thornmail on Swain, but I was not paying attention. You don't want to have this many items sitting on your bench at this stage of the game. So here I should have slammed both of these Chain Vests right onto Swain immediately. He does very well with tanky items. I think that probably could have swayed this round a lot more. Wouldn't have died so quickly to the Xayah. She ulted and killed my Swain pretty much instantly. But this is the Keeper comp. It's a poor rendition of it, but it's the Keeper comp. So I decided to do that now. Realized my mistake, but all too late. So here I'm pointing out that I decided to leave Swain and Morgana with only 2 items because if I do get some good Ornn items, I do want those units to be able to hold them because they are my second and third carries behind the Talon. Morgana ends up being my primary carry because I hit pretty hard. But Talon, Swain, and Morgana are the damage carries of this comp. Scouting around a little bit, see if anyone's playing Morgana or Swain. I noticed that, surprisingly, most people are not playing Siphoners or Enlightened. It's okay to be losing here. This is normal. I'm halfway through 8, so people are cashing in their gold and they're getting strong, and I'm not. I'm just investing in more levels. Soft rolling, and it worked out because I ended up getting the Shen, which ends up getting me the Adept bonus. I like playing Adept because for some reason I'm a magnet for those Adept Yones. I know Yone's not the best unit, but Adept Yone, you can't really turn that down. I'm all frontline right now, which is okay because my frontline units are doing some serious damage. One thing that I can reflect on now is that I'm not really paying attention where I put my Talon. I know he's not doing that much damage right now, but I should still be trying to find priority units to jump on, and I should be scouting more. I'm going to try to improve at scouting more when I'm taking these videos and recording, so that I can better show you what you should be doing, rather than just talking about what you should be doing and not doing it. So I'm talking about how I want the ice cream cone. That would be a great item to put on one of my frontline units that I can sandwich in between Swain and Morgana so that their spells are doing more damage. I don't need damage right now, so I was going to go for the Zephyr, but I ended up grabbing the Gargoyle. We don't need damage. We've got Morello, Morgana, we've got Talon with full AD items, got an Ionic, Spark, Swain, so we've got plenty of DPS. Not worried about that. And the Kennen Chosen. It's a great Chosen, but we're not playing that comp this game. I believe I decided to go 9 here. Yep. And then I try to roll and see if I can get some units. I get Adept here, and then I land the Chosen Yone. You definitely want to have Yone on the front line But I'm going to swap out this Ornn for the Janna once he makes an item for me. So I just put those items on him now because I know I'm going to sell them. I didn't want to put those items on Swain or Morgana because I want to preserve the opportunity that I get a good Ornn item on one of those two. I'm not hitting many Morgana, so I think I decided to loaded dice my Morgana. And I hit it. And I got a Collector. Not the best item for this comp that I'm running. Excuse me, sorry. I had to sneeze. Collector's not bad on Morgana. It's not great on Morgana, but she's definitely the best holder for that. So I'm gonna, for my team comp anyway, so I'm gonna put that on her. Still not paying attention where I should put my Talon, which could have cost me the game. So we'll chalk that up to being my third mistake. If you're wondering where this gold's coming from, it's from the Collector. Whenever the Collector last hits a unit, it gives you gold. So I swap in my Janna, and I'm noticing that I could be having Divine instead of the Aatrox. So I pick up the Lee Sin and I put him in instead of the Aatrox. Lee Sin's great because he can pick those troublesome frontline units and just send them off into oblivion. He's a great flex unit for this comp. Now I got a Deathblade, and at the time of recording, which didn't end up recording like I said, I was pretty frustrated. Because the Deathblade would have been a great item on Talon, but I don't really have any other strong AD units to hold that. So I end up giving the Deathblade to Yone because he does auto attack, but he is definitely far better with AP items. So don't get me wrong on that. I'm showcasing his AP damage. And then slamming a double BF sword item on him, because that's the best I can do. But I end up putting the Gargoyle on Swain. Tankier Swain is a happier Swain. And then I slam the Deathblade on Yone, and hope all goes well. I think I put the Giant's Belt on Lee Sin as well. Maybe that's next round. Still not paying attention to where I put my Talon. I think pretty soon I noticed that I'm not moving my Talon, which I should be. So I start scouting around and seeing where I should put my Talon. And I noticed that one of the guys has a Zephyr as well. So I roll a little bit here, try to hit Swain 2 and some of my other units too. I should have picked up that Shen, but I missed it. I pick up this Shen, that would have been Shen 2. And I pick up this Lee Sin. Oops. There we go. Pick up this Lee Sin. I'm not going to hit Talon 2. I'm just holding the Talons because I thought it would be pretty funny if I got that lucky. Or I'm not going to hit Talon 3, sorry. Focusing on getting my pairs. So I'm level 9, I believe these two are both level 8. Ends up paying off. Still trying to complete my pairs. I think I noticed now that this guy is a Zephyr. And I accidentally messed up here. I thought he was going to be Zephyring my Morgana, I believe. So I end up trying to have the Lee Sin tank it, but instead the Zephyr is aimed at my Swain because I was not paying attention. I believe I lose because of that. Yep. So it's important to scout, pay attention. Here I'm thinking about what would be a good item for Yone. Hodge would have been a great item for Yone. But I see the Ludens and I think, alright, you know, it's one of the only AP items here, so I'm going to grab the Ludens. Vanguard Spat would have been nice if I decided to keep my Aatrox, but I didn't. Paid off, I got Lee Sin 2. Right now I'm looking for Shen 2. I know I'm not going to hit Morgana 3, so I start selling my Morganas to hit. And I end up hitting it. So now I'm just waiting on my Swain. Have to pay attention to what I want Lee Sin to kick and how to dodge the Zephyr. So I'm trying to position so that I can kick a valuable unit with Lee Sin, but also not get Zephyred. I don't want Morgana or Swain to be Zephyred because that would effectively lower my DPS by a significant margin. This Olaf ends up being kind of an issue. So the way I decide to try to deal with the Olaf is by kicking him away with my Lee Sin. Any amount of time that I can keep the Olaf CC'd is good time for me, so I try to pay attention. And I start to move my Talon now, I believe. I realize that jumping on the Samira is probably not my best bet. He puts in his Samira here. Jumping on Samira is not my best bet. I also try to position Lee Sin to kick Olaf and Aatrox. And I realize that the Zephyr is definitely aimed at my Swain. And he swaps his Zephyr on me and hits my Morgana. But Lee Sin does end up kicking the Sejuani away from the front line, which is awesome, because now her ultimate's not going to stop me. The only person it hits is Lee Sin and Pyke, which is perfectly fine. And I get a Chalice. So now the Zephyr guy is gone. So I explained the urgency behind the Chalice here. If you have a Chalice on a unit and you're trying to position so that the Chalice is giving the other units power, that's a perfect opportunity for the enemy to Zephyr one of those units because they know you can't move it. Any item that is reliant on positioning, like Zeke's or Ice Cream Cone or Locket, people abuse that with the Zephyr because they know that you don't have much room to move those units, otherwise you lose out on the effectiveness of your item. So here I'm just trying to find my Swain 2. I know he has a Samira, so I'm just holding Samiras. I think I end up selling them so that I can hit Swain. And I do hit the Swain. And then I slam the Ice Cream Cone on Lee Sin. Gives him mana and gives me ability power. So I'm looking to kick the Olaf, and I'm looking to have Talon jump on Tristana and Shyvana instead of Samira, because Samira can jump around and that will mess up the Talon's aggro. Lee Sin does kick Olaf, but Olaf ults, which makes it so that Lee Sin can't kick him off the map. But I did get Olaf away from my units, so it did give my units time to pick off the rest of his team before having to deal with the Olaf. And that ends up winning me the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry I had to do the commentary after the fact, but stay cool, homies, and I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.